Before we cross into the unknown, leave a hello in the comments. Even the smallest signal can ripple across galaxies, guiding fellow wanderers to this tale. Let me know you're out there. A voice among the stars, listening with me beyond the veil. Engines roared as the exiled fleet launched into the void, black holes reflecting no light, no hope. Admiral Kale's hands clenched the console, the betrayal still raw, once allies, now declared humanity extinct. Each ship, once a symbol of exploration, had been reforged into an instrument of war. "We were cast out," he murmured, "but we will return as predators." Sensors flickered, scanning for the enemy, and the silence of space pressed in. This was no retreat. It was a transformation. Humanity would no longer plead, it would annihilate. The first transmission came, a warning. Kale ignored it, ordering the fleet into formation. Tactical algorithms upgraded by humanity's exiled engineers synchronized every maneuver. Black warships curved around asteroid belts, weapons charging silently. The enemy fleet, a confident, arrogant mass, didn't anticipate precision, didn't anticipate the speed or firepower. Kyle's voice cut through the bridge comm. "Hold until my signal, then release hell." Missiles arced through the void like silver ghosts, detonating in bursts of fire against unsuspecting cruisers. Kale's eyes narrowed as the enemy tried to regroup. "Predictable," he muttered. Targeting systems had learned from every previous human defeat. Every movement of the alien fleet anticipated, countered, erased. Black ships moved with terrifying efficiency. Weapons systems layered, shields adaptive, the very space around them becoming a trap. The first flagship exploded, a sphere of light swallowed by darkness. Communications went silent. Crew aboard Kale's vessel barely breathed, watching through reinforced viewports as destruction rippled outward. No victory cheers, no fanfare, only the quiet, heavy weight of total annihilation. Humanity's new face was not mercy, it was finality. "This," Kyle whispered, "is what Exile teaches." Sensors flared, new ships entering the battle zone, unaware of the trap. Kale ordered a split formation, each wing targeting a different sector of the enemy. Torpedoes and plasma arrays synchronized with horrifying accuracy. "Every ship, every life lost, is a lesson," Kale thought as he directed his fleet with surgical precision. The enemy could not predict, could not escape. A command vessel fired blindly, only to be shredded mid-burst. Kale's fleet moved like a single organism, hulls weaving through debris, calculating trajectories down to centimeters. Silence followed each strike, broken only by the low hum of engines and cooling systems. Humanity's exile had forged them into perfect instruments of war, efficient, relentless, unstoppable. The remnants of the enemy fleet tried to flee, scattering toward distant systems. Kyle activated the intercept grid, automated drones and gravity tethers ripping vessels from their course. The darkness of space became a hunting ground, every asteroid and nebula hiding a silent sniper. Humanity's vengeance was not chaotic. It was methodical, inevitable. Explosions erupted in isolated pockets, then vanished into the void. Kale observed, feeling neither triumph nor relief. The enemy's screams, lost in the vacuum, were irrelevant. Tactical logs recorded perfect efficiency, firepower unmatched, maneuvers unparalleled. Humanity's transformation was complete. These black ships, born from exile and betrayal, had proven themselves more than weapons. They were the reckoning. As the last ship disintegrated, an eerie calm filled the void. Kale floated on the bridge, staring at the remnants of what had once been a formidable armada. Engines idled, shields dimmed. For the first time in decades, humans could breathe, unafraid of pursuit or death. The black ships hovered like titans among the stars, waiting, calculating, silent. Kale's voice broke the stillness. "We exist because we endure. We endure because we fight." Every officer understood. This silence was heavier than any explosion. Humanity's exile had transformed desperation into perfection. The galaxy had witnessed the first strike of unstoppable machines of war, and somewhere, far beyond sensors, someone would remember and fear the shadow that humanity had become. Kale's fleet resumed course through the void, scanning for survivors. Sensors picked up fragmented signals, small escape pods, derelict ships adrift. Humanity had struck without mercy, but the Admiral felt no triumph. Exile had taught them precision, but not forgiveness. "We strike hard, but we learn from what remains," he murmured, logging each anomaly. Even in victory, the unknown lingered like a shadow. A sudden flicker on the long-range scanners drew Kale's attention. Something moved intentionally, faster than debris, deliberate. Tactical teams confirmed it. Enemy scouts, likely observers sent to understand the Black Fleet. Kale's lips tightened. Every move they made, every calculation would now be anticipated. The war was only beginning, and humanity's transformation would be tested beyond sheer firepower. On the bridge, AI-assisted strategies displayed thousands of simultaneous outcomes. Kale studied the projections, his fingers tracing vectors on the holographic map. "The enemy adapts," he said, voice low, "but we will outthink them." Black ships repositioned automatically, splitting into microformations to cover every potential threat. Tactical algorithms, refined in exile, allowed humanity to fight without hesitation or error. Every strike, every feint, was a product of cold calculation and instinctive precision. The first enemy counterstrike arrived, coordinated energy volleys, testing shields, probing weak points. Kyle smiled faintly. Each attack was anticipated, each vector preempted. Countermeasures deployed. Weapons retaliated with double the intensity. Enemy ships shattered like glass. Silence followed each eruption of fire, and the Admiral realized humanity's transformation had surpassed survival. It was now domination, perfected in blackened steel. A distress beacon pulsed in a nearby sector. Kyle hesitated, a test of morality in the calculus of war. He ordered reconnaissance drones instead of human crews, shadows gliding silently to confirm the signal. Nothing but wreckage remained. The fleet had no mercy for weakness, no patience for sentiment. Exile had stripped humanity of hope and softened it into lethal focus. As drones returned, their cameras revealed enemy traces, adaptive technology, new weapons designed for this exact encounter. Kale's brow furrowed. Humanity had built perfection, but their enemies were evolving. Orders were given to retrofit weapons mid-flight, incorporating lessons from every destruction witnessed. The first shadow of doubt had entered the Admiral's mind, but only for a moment. Precision would answer it. The Black Fleet dove into a dense nebula, using it as both shield and weapon. Plasma torpedoes lit up the swirling gases, each explosion calculated to maximize pressure waves against cloaked vessels. Kale's voice resonated across the comm. "Coordinates locked. Execute pattern Omega 9. The enemy was trapped, moving blindly within a storm of human-engineered fire. Ships emerged from the nebula, shredded and broken. The nebula's natural turbulence amplified every strike, every shot a miniature apocalypse. Crew aboard Kale's flagship hardly spoke, their eyes trained on tactical displays, calculating the next obliteration. Even in chaos, human technology achieved perfection. By the time the last target fell, only silence remained. The void held nothing but ash and shadow, and the black ships waiting. Silence engulfed the sector. Kale floated on the bridge, surveying the devastation. The enemy fleet, once countless, had vanished into nothingness. No life signals, no distress calls, only drifting wreckage. The Admiral's chest felt tight, a mixture of exhaustion and awe. Humanity's transformation was total, from explorers to exiles to predators. "Record every detail," Kale commanded. "They will adapt, We must be ready. He gazed at the blackened warships, engines humming a quiet reminder of unstoppable power. Somewhere beyond the void, someone would witness this reckoning and tremble. Humanity had emerged from exile not as survivors, but as inevitability incarnate, a shadow that could not be outrun. Kale's fleet navigated the debris of annihilated systems. Ghost signals flickered across the scanners, unidentified transmissions, coded and faint. The Admiral's hand hovered over the console. "They observe us," he said, voice low. Humanity's first victories had not gone unnoticed. Every black warship moved with quiet vigilance, shields adaptive, weapons at standby. The fleet was no longer just a force of destruction. It was a sentinel in exile, watching and waiting. A distant flash caught sensors, a ship appearing and vanishing within milliseconds. Tactical systems tracked it, advanced cloaking, unknown propulsion. Kale's fingers danced across controls, deploying microdrones to shadow the anomaly. Humanity had survived betrayal before, but now every movement, every calculation, was a statement. We are perfected in war, and nothing in the void would go unchallenged. The anomaly reappeared, firing energy pulses toward an unsuspecting colony. Kale's fleet reacted instantly. Black warships slicing through space in synchronized arcs, shields deflecting energy strikes. Algorithms predicted each enemy vector. Countermeasures shredded their weapons mid-flight. Precision had become instinct. Instinct had become weaponized. Humanity's exile had bred not desperation, but absolute mastery. Enemy vessels faltered, outmatched by unseen calculations. Kale's voice echoed across the bridge. "Target their command node, collapse formation." Plasma beams tore through hulls, the void lighting with controlled devastation. Silence followed each strike, heavy and complete. The Admiral allowed himself a brief thought. This is what exile shapes. Cold, calculated, unstoppable fury. Kale deployed the new weapon system, the Reckoning Grid. A lattice of energy fields expanded, capturing enemy ships in invisible tethers. The fleet moved like chess pieces, herding the opponent into annihilation zones. Every maneuver accounted for mass, velocity, and reaction time down to fractions of a second. An enemy battleship collided with the grid, tearing itself apart. Sensors recorded perfect disintegration patterns, feeding data into Kale's AI. Silence filled the void, broken only by low hums of black ships. Humanity had created not just weapons, but a system of inevitability. War distilled into art, destruction perfected into science. A strange transmission pierced the comm. Alien voices, urgent but unintelligible. Kale's brow furrowed. "They attempt negotiation," he said, scanning for traps. The fleet shifted, sensors probing, weapons primed. Humanity had survived betrayal and exile. Trust was a luxury, not a strategy. Every black ship moved in synchronized caution, a ballet of war waiting for a single misstep from the unseen enemy. Suddenly, drones revealed cloaked vessels surrounding the fleet. Kale's tactical display lit up with projected attack vectors. "We expected countermeasures," he said, lips tight. Orders executed automatically. Decoys, energy bursts, micro-missiles. Each maneuver calculated to trap the enemy in a spiral of destruction. Silence returned only after every target disintegrated, leaving the Admiral's fleet unscathed. The fleet surged into contested space. Every black warship moved like extensions of Kale's mind, weapons preemptively calibrated, shields adaptive to every threat. The enemy, desperate, disoriented, attempted to form a line, only to have it torn apart before completion. Humanity's exile had become their dominion. Kale floated on the bridge, watching the aftermath. Wreckage drifted silently through the void. No cries, no signals, only the reminder of total dominance. "Record and analyze," he ordered. "Every action is a lesson." The fleet hummed softly, engines a lullaby of power. Humanity had transformed, and the galaxy would soon learn. To challenge them was to vanish without a trace. Kale's fleet approached a contested system, sensors scanning for anomalies. A ripple of energy pulsed across the void, a weapon unknown, cloaked in distortion. The Admiral's hand hovered over the console. "They're testing us," he said. Every black ship adjusted automatically, shields adapting, weapons primed. Humanity's exile had turned them into anticipatory predators. The first pulse struck, colliding with the fleet, but defenses absorbed it flawlessly. Countermeasures were deployed, and drones flanked the source, revealing cloaked vessels scrambling. Kale's mind raced through probabilities. Every strike, every maneuver was preempted, rewritten in real time. The enemy's attempts to adapt were futile. Humanity's precision was now a living algorithm of war. The fleet glided through the ruins of a destroyed moon. Reconstruction drones deployed silently, converting debris into energy conduits and defensive arrays. Kyle observed the transformations with detached awe. Humanity's exile had forged more than warships. They had rebuilt their power from ruin itself. Enemy scouts appeared, drawn by the reconstruction. Automated defenses engaged instantly, neutralizing them with zero collateral damage. Silence returned, heavier than before. Kale's voice cut through. Every fragment is a lesson, every spark a warning. Humanity had learned not only to destroy but to rise from destruction, stronger, faster, smarter than any adversary. As enemy vessels formed an irregular blockade, Kale's fleet split into microsquadrons weaving through fractured asteroid belts. Every ship executed perfect flanking maneuvers, plasma cannons charging in unison. Tactical projections overlaid trajectories, predicting enemy reactions with uncanny accuracy. First volleys erupted, enemy ships shattered, shields failing under precision fire. Kale's eyes scanned the void, noting patterns, anomalies, and potential threats. Silence followed each explosion. Humanity's exile had transformed fear into methodical efficiency, turning the void itself into a canvas for destruction. Each black ship moved with purpose, harbingers of inevitability. Kale initiated the next phase, the Nexus sweep. A coordinated lattice of energy pulses swept across the sector, herding enemy remnants toward concentrated kill zones. Black warships acted as extensions of the grid, adapting instantaneously to each countermeasure. Enemy formations collapsed like paper. Sensors captured every fragment, every structural failure. The Admiral's fleet moved silently through the void, leaving nothing but destruction in its wake. Kale allowed himself a brief thought. Humanity had become the apex calculation, a force where every variable had been accounted for and every potential outcome dominated. Kale's flagship initiated the Oblivion Protocol. Energy arcs enveloped derelict vessels, detonating precisely to erase every trace. Tactical drones captured the aftermath, feeding data back into AI for optimization. Humanity's exile had produced perfection, not just of war, but of memory itself. The void was silent. No signals, no echoes. Only the black warships, poised and unbroken. Kyle's voice carried through the bridge. We exist because we endure. We endure because we anticipate. Humanity had transformed into inevitability incarnate. Every enemy defeated, every system cleared, every victory recorded. It was all preparation for what lay beyond the stars. Kale's fleet moved into uncharted space. Strange energy readings flickered across the sensors, anomalies that defied known physics. The void itself resists us, Kale muttered. Black ships adjusted automatically, scanning, analyzing, preparing for the unknown. Exile had taught them survival, but this was evolution in real time. A ghostly pulse struck the fleet, nullifying shields momentarily. Tactical systems adapted instantly, rerouting power and compensating for vector shifts. The anomaly vanished before it could be studied. Kale's crew exchanged tense glances. Humanity had faced betrayal and extinction, but the Void now whispered a new challenge, one they could not yet predict. Kale deployed predictive drones, weaving through dense asteroid fields. Each drone relayed continuous data to AI cores, calculating enemy movements before they happened. Humanity's exile had taught anticipation. Now, anticipation became domination. Enemy scouts reappeared, cloaked in unstable energy fields. Micro-missiles launched, precision targeted by AI algorithms, shredding hulls before crews could react. Silence followed each detonation, broken only by low hums of cooling engines. The Admiral realized Exile had honed humanity not only into warriors but into foresight incarnate, moving before the enemy could even imagine. The fleet approached a binary star system. Radiation interference threatened sensor accuracy, but black warships adapted, recalibrating shields and targeting in milliseconds. Kyle's tactical display lit with probability matrices, plotting hundreds of contingency maneuvers. An enemy command frigate attempted escape, diving between the stars. Plasma volleys intersected its trajectory, obliterating it before it could signal allies. The Void seemed to shudder under human precision. Kyle allowed himself a brief thought. Exile had forged not just weapons but inevitability itself, a horizon where humanity was the only constant. Kale initiated a second Nexus sweep, expanding energy grids to encompass wider sectors. Each black ship became a node in a living lattice, adjusting instantly to disturbances. The enemy had no room to maneuver, no options uncalculated. Enemy formations dissolved under pressure. Sensors recorded structural failures and hull breaches with surgical accuracy. Silence returned, heavy and absolute. Humanity's exile had transformed despair into mastery. Their fleet moved as one organism, a sentient machine of destruction, leaving only shadows and drifting wreckage behind, as long-range surveillance detected movement on the outskirts of known space. Kale's fleet pivoted, black hulls slicing through darkness. Every sensor, every drone, every weapon synchronized instinctively. Humanity's exile had become vigilance incarnate. A new fleet emerged, larger, more complex, its technology unfamiliar. Kale's fingers hovered over the console. "They've learned," he said. Micro-drones and AI arrays are analyzed instantly, producing counters faster than thought. The first wave of adaptation had arrived, and humanity would meet it with precision forged in betrayal and exile. Silence settled once more, but tension crackled beneath it like an electric storm. Kale's fleet engaged the adaptive enemy. Sensors detected interference patterns that AI could barely interpret. "They've evolved faster than we expected," Kale muttered. Black ships weaved through the void, shields recalibrating, weapons pre-aimed. Humanity's exile had taught them adaptation, but now they faced a mirror of their own precision. First volleys struck, but the enemy dodged with uncanny timing. Micro-drones recalculated trajectories mid-flight, adapting to new patterns. Each explosion echoed in silence, a reminder. Evolution was not theirs alone. Kale's grip tightened. Humanity had forged perfection in war, but the universe now tested it. The fleet maneuvered near a dying star, using its radiation fields as cover. Tactical grids pulsed, projecting probabilities across multiple enemy adaptations. Kale issued commands, each black warship executing perfectly. Enemy squadrons attempted ambushes within solar flares. Plasma beams collided with adaptive shields, exploding in arcs of fire and light. Silence followed each engagement, punctuated only by Kale's steady voice. Adjust, counter, overwhelm. Humanity had become a storm, a force of precision unmatched, even when the enemy mirrored their tactics. As black warships dove into a gravitational anomaly, drones and microships mapped the vortex in real time, plotting escape routes and attack vectors. Kale's fleet was a living organism, moving in synchronized fluidity. Enemy vessels, confident in the chaos, collided with unseen gravitational traps. Plasma cannons and torpedoes struck with surgical accuracy. Silence returned, heavy and suffocating. Humanity's exile had honed instinct into weaponized foresight. The void itself had become a hunting ground where nothing escaped calculation. Kale's fleet expanded the Nexus grid across multiple systems. Each black ship became a node in an interconnected lattice, detecting threats and executing responses in milliseconds. The enemy scrambled, unaware that their every move was anticipated. One by one, enemy vessels were destroyed or captured in energy tethers. Silence enveloped the void, broken only by low hums of the fleet. Kale allowed himself a rare thought. Humanity had transformed into inevitability incarnate. Exile had birthed perfection, a fleet capable of annihilation without hesitation, precision without remorse. The fleet drifted through a sector once teeming with enemy life. Sensors recorded only wreckage, debris, and ghostly echoes. Kale floated on the bridge, observing the aftermath. Humanity's exile had transformed them into instruments of calculated destruction. "Every strike teaches," Kale said, voice low. Micro-drones transmitted data to AI cores for analysis, preparing the fleet for unknown threats. The silence was heavier than any battle, the calm reminder of power perfected and the ever-present knowledge that the void still held secrets waiting to challenge them. Kale's fleet entered an uncharted sector. Energy readings flickered across the sensors. Unknown signatures, vast and incomprehensible. "Something watches," Kale murmured. Black ships adjusted automatically, shields up, weapons ready. Exile had forged precision, but the void now demanded vigilance beyond calculation. Drones revealed colossal structures drifting in darkness, alien constructions, untouched by battle yet bristling with technology. Kale's tactical display hummed as algorithms processed the anomalies. Humanity had faced betrayal and extinction, but this was new. Intelligence untested, power unmeasured, a challenge to even their perfected war fleet. The enemy struck with unconventional maneuvers. Plasma arrays and torpedoes arrived from angles impossible under known physics. Kale's fleet twisted, adaptive shields absorbing unpredictable fire. Humanity's exile had taught anticipation, but the opponent had evolved, exploiting chaos itself. Black warships countered, deploying micro-drones and adaptive fire patterns, slowly regaining the upper hand. The void erupted with calculated explosions, each strike measured, precise. Silence followed. Kale's voice was steady. "We adapt, or we die. Humanity survives by mastering the impossible." Kale activated the silent grid, an energy lattice designed to detect invisible anomalies and trap cloaked vessels. Each black ship became a sensor and node, reacting instantly to disturbances. The void seemed to bend around them, alive with unseen calculations. Enemy vessels attempted evasion, only to be ensnared. Plasma torpedoes destroyed hulls without warning. Crew aboard Kale's flagship barely exhaled, observing flawless execution. Humanity's exile had forged inevitability into a weapon. Silence returned, a heavy testament to perfection in war. New enemy technologies emerged, shields that bent light, weapons that phased through conventional defenses. Kale studied them, hand hovering over the console. "They adapt as we do," he noted. Every black ship recalibrated instantaneously, algorithms rewriting themselves mid-battle. First volleys hit, partially absorbed, but the fleet adjusted, exploiting weaknesses. Explosions lit the void in cold fire, silence following each strike. Humanity's exile had taught endurance, precision, and now, innovation. Every loss was data, every maneuver a lesson, preparing the fleet for the challenges that still lurked beyond the stars. Kale surveyed the battlefield, ruins of fleets, scattered debris, and the faint glow of alien technology. Humanity had survived betrayal, annihilation, and adaptation. The black warships floated like titans among the remnants, engines humming a quiet hymn of inevitability. Kale's voice carried across the bridge. We endure because we perfect. We are perfect because we survive. Silence settled, heavier than any explosion. The fleet's transformation was complete. Humanity had become more than exiles. They were apex predators of the void, unstoppable, calculating, and eternal. Kale's fleet approached a sector of dead stars. Sensors picked up subtle traces, vibrations in the void that defied physics. Black ships shifted automatically, engines adjusting to unseen currents. Exile had taught survival, but now the void itself seemed alive, testing humanity's instincts. Drones revealed ghostly vessels, cloaked in radiation. Tactical systems adapted instantly, calculating attack angles and intercepts. Kyle watched silently, realizing humanity's exile had prepared them for precision and destruction, but not for the strange, almost sentient designs of this new enemy. Black warships streaked through asteroid fields. Enemy craft moved unpredictably, but AI-driven algorithms anticipated every trajectory. Kale's fingers danced across the console, issuing micro-adjustments to the fleet. Humanity had become a predator, exiled and perfected. A concentrated barrage shattered the enemy front. Silence followed, broken only by the hum of engines. Each strike had been precise, surgical, unavoidable. Exile had hardened humanity, transforming desperation into calculated, unrelenting dominance across the void. As cloaked vessels attempted infiltration of human supply convoys, micro-drones flanked and scanned, mapping the enemy in real time. Every maneuver was countered before it could be completed. Kyle observed the display, noting patterns in the unfamiliar technology. First volleys erupted, enemy shields faltering under combined plasma and electromagnetic disruption. Silence returned immediately, the void heavy with absence. Humanity's exile had made them more than survivors. They had become an unstoppable system of precision, capable of annihilation without hesitation or error. Kale expanded the Nexus grid into multiple systems simultaneously. Black warships became a web of nodes, sensors detecting anomalies and deploying countermeasures faster than thought. The enemy faltered, struggling to adapt to this living lattice of destruction. Explosions lit sectors in calculated bursts. Debris floated like confetti through the void, silent testimony to perfected war. Kyle allowed himself a thought. Humanity had transformed, not only surviving exile but mastering the void itself, an apex predator among the stars. The fleet slowed, scanning the aftermath of the latest engagement. Wreckage, drift, and ghostly signals filled sensors. Kale's gaze swept the void. Humanity's exile had forged black ships into instruments of inevitability, capable of unrivaled precision and power. Record everything, Kale commanded. Micro-drones transmitted structural, tactical, and enemy data back to AI cores. Silence settled heavily across the fleet, more profound than any battle. Humanity had emerged from betrayal and destruction as perfection in motion, a shadow of inevitability stretching across the galaxy, ready for the challenges yet unseen. Kale's fleet traced unfamiliar energy signatures weaving through the void like veins of light. Sensors struggled against interference, but black warships adapted instantly, shields shimmering with subtle hues. Exile had sharpened humanity's precision, but this sector whispered new challenges. Drones revealed alien conduits channeling power unseen, structures impossible to classify. Kale's tactical arrays calculated thousands of countermeasures simultaneously. Humanity had faced annihilation and betrayal. Now they confronted ingenuity that rivaled their own. Every decision had to be perfect, or the fleet could vanish in an instant, as whispers of dissent rippled through the exiled fleet. Some commanders questioned Kale's relentless pursuit of perfection, fearing alien adaptation. Black ships moved in unified form, but human tension simmered beneath the surface. Exile had forged war machines, but not iron hearts. Kale addressed the officers personally, eyes cold but steady. "We survive because we endure and obey," he stated. Tactical systems overrode hesitation, executing commands with precision. Silence returned, but the admiral knew vigilance extended beyond enemy fleets. Loyalty within the human ranks was now equally critical. As alien squadrons emerged, utilizing shadow technology to phase between light and matter, the fleet reacted instantly, shields modulating frequencies, weapons firing preemptively along projected paths. Humanity's exile had forged instinct into technology, but this was evolution itself challenging them. Plasma beams intersected cloaked ships mid-transition, causing hulls to implode silently. Kale's fleet executed maneuvers too fast for the enemy to track. Silence returned, punctuated only by tactical confirmations. Humanity's transformation had reached apex efficiency, yet every encounter reminded Kale that perfection required constant evolution. Kale deployed neural-linked command arrays, connecting ship AI cores directly to strategic officers' thoughts. Decisions executed instantaneously across hundreds of black warships. Humanity's exile had birthed not only technology, but collective cognition, fleet and mind as one. Enemy vessels attempted feints, but predictive simulations and human-AI synergy countered every move. Explosions lit the void briefly before silence returned. Cal allowed himself a rare smile. Humanity's exile had transformed desperation into domination, not just over matter, but over strategy itself. Kale activated the Shadow Protocol, cloaking the fleet in adaptive, light-bending arrays. Sensors revealed enemy formations moving blindly into traps designed with ruthless precision. Humanity's exile had made them ghosts, hunters invisible until destruction struck. Enemy squadrons shattered, some disintegrating under kinetic volleys before they even knew they were targeted. Silence blanketed the void once more. Kale's fleet hovered like titans among the stars, their presence unseen yet lethal. Humanity had transcended survival. They had become inevitability incarnate, exiles perfected into predators of the cosmos. Kale's fleet approached a binary star system, where alien signals pulsed unpredictably. Black warships adjusted automatically, shields modulating against unknown radiation. Humanity's exile had sharpened anticipation, but this sector tested even their perfected algorithms. Drones revealed vessels splitting into fractal patterns, a strategy designed to overwhelm calculations. Kale's AI systems recalculated in milliseconds, micro-drones intercepting each fragment. Explosions rippled silently across the void. The fleet endured. Humanity's exile had forged not just weapons, but inevitability itself. Kale's black warships glided past debris fields, scanning for remaining enemy signals. Tactical arrays detected nothing, yet anomaly readings persisted. Every sensor adjusted autonomously, every turret primed for unseen threats. Humanity's exile had taught vigilance, and now silence itself became a weapon. A distant pulse erupted, a cloaked frigate attempting to escape. Countermeasures struck before it could fire. The explosion was measured, precise, leaving only drifting wreckage. Kale's voice broke the bridge quietly. "We endure because we anticipate. We conquer because we perfect." The fleet hovered, a shadow of inevitability across the stars. Kale expanded the Nexus grid to new sectors. Black warships became nodes in a living lattice, anticipating enemy maneuvers before they occurred. The void itself seemed to obey their presence. Enemy vessels entered the grid blindly, trapped in energy tethers, disintegrated by precision strikes. Silence followed each engagement, heavier than any battle. Humanity's exile had transformed desperation into mastery, fear into a system of perfect domination. The Admiral allowed himself a rare thought. The galaxy was learning to fear them. As unusual signals emerged, alien constructs that manipulated light and gravity. Kale's fleet shifted in perfect formation, shields adapting instantly, weapons pre-calibrated. Exile had made them precise, but this was evolution beyond known tactics. First, volleys struck. Energy bent unexpectedly around enemy vessels, but micro-drones recalculated, correcting trajectories mid-flight. Explosions lit the void in brief brilliance. Silence followed. Humanity's exile had forged inevitability, a fleet that could adapt, strike, and dominate faster than any adversary could comprehend. Kale initiated the Apex Protocol, a coordinated maneuver linking neural command arrays, AI, and microdrones across the entire fleet. Every black warship moved as one, a predator in perfect synchronization. Enemy formations collapsed like fragile glass. Silence returned, heavy with the weight of calculated annihilation. Kale gazed at the void, realizing humanity had transcended survival. Exile had created perfection, not just in technology but in execution, strategy, and instinct. Humanity had become inevitability, a shadow stretching across the galaxy, unstoppable, unyielding, eternal. Kale's fleet drifted through a sector of collapsing stars. Energy fluctuations distorted sensors, but black warships adapted instantly, shields and weapons modulating to compensate. Exile had honed humanity's precision, but now physics itself was a challenge. Alien vessels exploited gravitational turbulence, weaving unpredictably through the fleet. Micro-drones tracked each movement, recalculating intercepts in milliseconds. Explosions tore through the void and debris alike. Humanity had learned to dominate space itself, but every anomaly reminded Kale, even perfection had limits. As new alien forces arrived, larger, more complex, and cloaked in unknown energy fields, the Black Fleet reconfigured instantaneously, forming defensive and offensive patterns with synchronized precision. Humanity's exile had transformed them into apex predators. But this was a test of intellect, not firepower alone. Enemy volleys collided with adaptive shields, only to be shredded by plasma and kinetic counterattacks. Silence followed each strike. Kale's eyes scanned tactical displays. Humanity had survived betrayal, annihilation, and evolution. But the void had more challenges hidden, waiting for the fleet's next calculated move. Kale expanded the Nexus grid to encompass multiple sectors simultaneously. Black warships acted as nodes, sensors calculating enemy movements faster than thought. The void seemed to fold around the fleet, every anomaly accounted for. Enemy vessels entered blindly, disintegrating under coordinated plasma strikes. Silence returned, punctuated only by hums of engines. Humanity's exile had perfected inevitability. Kyle allowed himself a thought. The galaxy would remember this fleet, not as survivors, but as unstoppable shadows of dominance. Black warships surged toward alien strongholds, deploying energy nets and microdrones in perfect synchronization. Kale's tactical display hummed with probabilities, predicting enemy adaptations before they could act. Humanity's exile had forged them into a weaponized orchestra. Explosions lit alien structures briefly before silence swallowed them again. Each strike was surgical, total, final. Kale's bridge was quiet, tense, yet calm. Humanity's exile had birthed perfection, a fleet capable of annihilation without hesitation, anticipation without error, dominance without question. Kale's fleet approached the outer edge of contested space. Sensors detected ghostly constructs, alien technology manipulating light and energy in ways unfamiliar. Every black ship adjusted autonomously, shields shimmering, weapons recalibrating mid-flight. First volleys struck. Enemy vessels faltered, some disintegrating, others immobilized in energy tethers. Silence followed, heavy and suffocating. Kale's eyes scanned the void, realizing humanity had become something beyond survival, exiled, perfected, and inevitable. The galaxy would learn to fear them, but the fleet had only begun to show its shadow. Kale's fleet approached a dense nebula concealing the alien command center. Sensors struggled, but AI recalibrated continuously. Black warships twisted through ion storms, weapons charging silently. Humanity's exile had forged them into hunters, and now the final prey lay ahead. Drones revealed alien defenses, energy grids, phased shields, and kinetic traps. Kale's tactical display overlaid thousands of potential maneuvers, selecting the optimal path. The first volleys struck with surgical precision, tearing through layered defenses. Silence followed each strike, punctuated only by the hum of perfected engines. The enemy launched a desperate counteroffensive, cloaked vessels flaring unpredictably. Kale's fleet responded instantly, micro-drones intercepting missiles mid-flight, plasma beams striking preemptively. Humanity's exile had transformed fear into foresight and destruction. Enemy formations crumbled. Explosions lit the nebula briefly before fading into darkness. Kale's voice cut through the bridge calmly. Adaptation is useless against inevitability. The fleet moved like one organism, each black ship a predator, every maneuver flawless. Humanity had become the apex shadow in the void. Kale activated the final nexus grid, connecting every black ship in instantaneous synchronization. The alien command vessels were surrounded, every escape route sealed. Humanity's exile had birthed a network of perfection, a trap impossible to evade. Energy pulses, plasma beams, and kinetic volleys converged, annihilating the command center in a single orchestrated strike. Silence followed, heavier than any previous engagement. Kale's fleet drifted, engines idling, sensors scanning for remnants. Humanity had transcended survival. The Exiled had become the ultimate predators of the galaxy. The fleet surveyed the aftermath. Alien fleets scattered, shattered, or absorbed into the void. Tactical systems recorded every detail for future engagements. Kale's eyes swept the horizon. Humanity's exile had not just forged warships, it had perfected dominance. The void was silent, holding only drifting wreckage and the faint hum of engines. Kale's voice carried, "We endure, we perfect, we dominate." Black ships glimmered faintly in distant starlight, a reminder that humanity had transformed from exiles into inevitability incarnate, untouchable, and eternal. Kale's fleet charted new coordinates. The galaxy had witnessed humanity's return and understood. To challenge them was to vanish. Black warships, once silver explorers, now sailed as titans of darkness and precision. Kale stood on the bridge, silent, observing the stars. The fleet hummed like a living organism ready for the next unknown. Humanity's exile had forged more than survival. It had forged inevitability. Across the cosmos, shadows moved with purpose, and the galaxy would never forget the moment humanity became eternal. The end. Thank you for watching AstroMyths. If you enjoyed this story, smash that like button and subscribe for more epic sci-fi tales, cosmic mysteries, and mind-bending myths. And if you like this story, or have a myth, mystery, or galaxy you'd like us to explore, drop your ideas in the comments. We're always listening. Until next time, keep your eyes on the stars and your mind open to the unknown.